Many of the families that immigrated to America believed that the women shouldn't be working, they should be at home. However, in the early 1900s, many of these families had to send the women to work. Women worked just as hard as the men, but earned one-third of the wages, and they were often mistreated by the bosses in the factories where they worked.
And now I should be afraid.
In Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, Sinclair portrayed the women as being hardworking yet naive, and Sinclair portrayed Yergis as being strong and protective. Yergis didn't want the women in the family to work in the unsafe conditions in the early 1900s. Yet Yergis had no choice but to let them work, or they would have starved otherwise. The women are forced to work 12 to 14-hour days, 6 days a week. Maria first got a job at a canning factory and had to carry heavy cans to paint. The paint would have lead and other harmful chemicals in it. She also takes up a job as a meat cutter, and she cuts her hand and receives blood poisoning. Maria eventually becomes a prostitute to save herself and her family. Anna, Yergis' wife, came across a job sewing the cover meat packaging on ham. After her first child was born, she was forced to go back to work soon after. Anna was raped by her boss at the plant where she worked. She was unable to speak up and tell Yergis, in fear of her entire family losing their jobs. Eventually, all of the hard labor led to her die while giving birth to her second child.
Just call his name, just call his name. Where do we go? Call out his name.
Unfortunately, too late for Anna, the United States passed a law in 1910 that limited the working hours and improved the conditions. It prevented women from working more than 8 hours, and in 1963, the Equal Pay Act was passed. This required the companies to pay women just as much as the men doing the same jobs. None of these laws, though, were passed in time to save the women in the jungle.
Always